For this final segment of Community Focus presented by the Friends of MCTV, we welcome Kate Hessling, the editor of the Midland Daily News. Kate, the Midland Daily News planning to make some journalistic changes. What can you tell us about those?
You're going to see more locally driven content. We're going to continue to cover the greater Midland area, but our focus is on local with the goal of one day being 100% local. We've already kind of rolled this out in small changes that some readers may have noticed. For example, we have an expanded events listing that publishes every day in our print edition. We have a listing of road closures that we're making into a daily feature, and we've just launched a Michigan legislature roll call report to feature how our local senators and representatives have voted in Lansing the prior week. That is a service that we're working through with the Mackinac Center. It actually works with newspapers all over the state on this feature, and we're really excited to have it here in Midland as well. Lastly, we've also launched a Community Connections initiative on our editorial page, and again, the idea is to make that more locally driven.
Well, what's the general philosophy for the changes? What for adding something, subtracting something? Is it a Hearst philosophy or is it a local Midland philosophy?
This is a Midland-driven initiative. We are embracing a new brand called Community Matters. Our content is going to highlight local community events and activities, focusing on aesthetics, services, and belonging. And that's going to be in addition to a focus on local business. Our philosophy is that local businesses are the drivers of the local economy. A dollar spent here is much more valuable than a dollar spent at a big box store that's going to be sent out of state. So we're really making a commitment to focus on our small businesses here in the local area. It's also something that our other properties in Hearst, Michigan, and as well as Illinois are focusing on. But for Midland, we are one-of-a-kind Community Matters branding. And part of that effort is the Community Connections that we launched this fall, and that's to give organizations a platform to speak directly to readers about how they're positively impacting the community and the role that their organization plays here. We've received overwhelmingly positive response from readers on this. They're telling us that they like this local content. They don't care what people from the New York Times are writing about or other, Beltway talking heads. They want to read about what's happening locally, and that's our focus.
So readers get their state, national, international news typically off the internet or sources like that, but the local news, who's going to gather that, where they're going to get that, and that's where you see the Midland Daily News placing yourself as the provider of local content.
Absolutely. One of the things readers say the most is that they don't want to read about Washington. They see that 24/7 on cable broadcast network, so they don't need to read about it a day later in their local community paper.
Now, how does this shift going to happen with the news? Is it you started to implement some? Is it going to be complete by the first of the year?
We're working in stages. We've created a position that's called a community liaison, and that's filled by Joy Buchanan, and she's managing our community connections, working with all of our nonprofits, business organizations, of which we have a list of over 300 just in Midland alone, trying to localize that page and give our groups a platform that they can speak directly to readers and readers can hear directly from their lips. And then we've adopted those other features I mentioned, the weekly roll call, the road closures, and the expanded events listing. These are things we didn't roll out at once that we're adding at a time, but we do have some other things planned to launch right at the beginning of the new year. And those are some things that are going to take us to that Community Matters and focus on our businesses.
So you're phasing some in tell us about, it started, it's been building and building. Carry on with the story.
Right. I feel like it's been a pretty fast and furious transition since I became the editor in July. The Daily News staff is just an excellent staff. They're doing amazing work, and they are working as hard as they can to make the Daily News one of the best community newspapers in the state. And so we've been trying to implement things in a steady fashion, but what I'm really excited about for 2020 is our Community Matters and our focus on local, because a lot of times, you hear about Small Business Saturday right after Thanksgiving, and then we don't really talk about shopping local unless it's the holiday season. But what you're going to be seeing in the Midland Daily News is daily content and continuing education about why it's important to shop local, and part of that is going to be weekly business spotlights. You're going to learn more about the people who have small businesses here and the small businesses that they work with, so their business is a success. We're going to roll out another weekly feature that's going to be a Meet Your Neighbor, and that's just for community members to learn more about their fellow community members, which is all part of the concept of belonging, which I know is an important concept to this community and to our elected officials. We also hope to make a positive local impact in 2020. We've announced a partnership with Shelter House of Midland and Gladwin counties, and we have launched a continuing education campaign about this crucial organization, and that's something that's going to be running on a weekly basis through April, which is when Shelter House is going to get the keys to its new facility. And the goal is, we're hoping that this series, as well as a community meeting that we're hosting later this spring with Shelter House, we're hoping that all of this will help the organization bridge its fundraising goal. So when it takes the keys to its new facility, it's not going to have a mortgage to pay on top of it. Another community event that we're planning for early this year is we are going to co-host a community conversation with WCMU. We're bringing in a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, Wes Lowry, and the community conversation is going to be about news literacy, which is a huge topic, and we think it's going to be a fantastic event.
Well, Kate, thank you for joining us, bringing us up to speed on the changes that are going on and will continue to go on at the Midland Daily News.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're glad that you joined us for the January installment of Community Focus. We've learned about some useful, informative, and educational activities that we can all look forward to in Midland in the coming weeks. The Community Focus program is one of the activities of the Friends of MCTV, activities that continually support and promote our local cable access television station. If you'd like to join the Friends of MCTV or learn more about our organization, you can like us on Facebook, email us at friendsofmctv@gmail.com, or call or visit the MCTV studio in the Grace A. Dow Memorial Library. And remember, if your club or nonprofit organization would like to join us at this table in the months to come, you can find our application online at MCTV's section of the city website, or you can visit MCTV in person to submit an application. We'd love to see you on Community Focus.